Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that they've canceled Italy. It is no more. It has ceased to be. So, with just my mic hot, I'm going to go ahead and tell a little story time with Co. So, when I was a kid, I think I was about 14, maybe 15 at the time. There was me, and I was over at a buddy's house, and we were hanging out like in front of his house in his driveway. In fact, I think we had like chalk or something, and we were talking and like drawing dumb stuff on the driveway. But it was a summer day, probably late July. There were a lot of kids out. It was a very family neighborhood in townhome, so kind of higher density. And it was a cul-de-sac. So, and there's multiple cul-de-sacs. Actually, there's a little parking lot and cul-de-sac and all kinds of things. So there are kids riding their bikes. There's kids playing ball. There's, game on, game off, hockey people, except that nobody really drives down there. So it was never game off. There were, the kids playing jacks over in one of the other neighbors' driveways. Garages were open. Everybody's hanging out. There were some parents out there. Like, it was just a summer day. Kids were not in school. We're hanging out, having a good time. Suddenly, up rolls up, and I'm going to call them out, the Bolingbrook Police Department. This was in Bolingbrook, Illinois. And it's one of those community service officers, the like fake cops. And they come out and they say, they kind of take the lay of the land. So they walk all the way down the street and all the way back up the street, just looking and taking notes. It's like, well, that's interesting. Finally, they stop and turn to me and my buddy and say, hey, what are you guys doing? He said, we're hanging out. What are you doing? So you can't hang out here. And my buddy goes, well, I live here. He's like, well, then go inside. He's like, I don't have to go inside. He's like, I'm in my driveway. Just go away. This cop then calls for backup, proceeds to round up no less than 43 children. Age range, I think, like I said, I was about 15, all the way down to about 5. Sits us all on the sidewalk, or on the curb, and writes us all tickets for loitering. That's right, loitering. Parents were beside themselves. They were livid. They were screaming. I don't think any of them got arrested, which was good, but it was a definite possibility. They were quite intense. So I think it was about a month later, court came, and I don't think a single parent paid any of those tickets. This army of parents and children show up to this little baby at the time, Bolingbrook Courthouse, and say, WTF. Thankfully, the judge had some sense about him and said, are you all, and he had to shout like outside the courtroom and out of the actual police department, are you all here for the same thing? Yes! Okay, all of your cases are dismissed. Have a nice day. I'm sorry. That was it. I just wanted to share a highlight from my youth. Welcome, everybody.
The 2 Utes.
Well, 43 Utes.
The 43 Utes.
So we have a special show for you tonight. We have Information Trade joining us.
Hype it up for Information Trade!
What?
That's totally not the vibe of the show tonight, though.
Oh.
Are you going to put a different timbre on this particular delivery?
You mean timbre? Oh.
I was looking at that the Beast Synths Tumblr, and there was that one where I forgot what it was, but it basically ended. Oh, that's what it was. It was like the level of headache, and it was like sinus headache, eye strain headache, stress headache, migraine, programming an electron sequencer, and then like discussing the finer points of the Moog polysynth as it's released or something. Like, oh yeah, I love it.
The Beasts page. There was someone who used to be, who I won't name, who used to be in our server, who had a habit of calling things that weren't beastly beasts. They even did like a studio tour once and posted it to YouTube. And there was a moment, I swear to God, where they were like, "All right, so over here we're getting the pocket operators, and these are beasts." And it's like, I
fair,
like pocket operators. They're cool.
They are much more robust than you think. Like,
They are.
both from a sound perspective and from a functionality perspective. Like, if you've never touched a teenage engineering device before, chances are a pocket operator is going to be your introduction into that world, and you'll pick it up and you'll plug it in and you'll go, oh my god, this is like a real thing. Weird.
But a beast?
Man, I don't know about beast.
I'm not calling no pocket operator a beast. I'm not sure what exactly defines a synth as a beast, actually.
It has fangs.
It has
Whatever
fangs.
it is, the pocket operator is the exact opposite.
It's like this. So Co and I have for a long time rated synths for some reason as their ability to, as a weapon, hand-to-hand weapon. Like, and we've long admired the Beats That Pro's capabilities as a hand-to-hand combat device because it's got a good solid length. It seems easy to grip. It's heavy.
Both offensive and defensive, and extra points for durability. I mean, you can injure people quite gratuitously, and I'll bet a simple, dry cloth will take care of it.
Yeah, it's fast as well. So I think so there's different metrics we really measure on. It's fast, but it can still really deal a lot of damage. So its FPS is pretty decent, but it can defend as well. So there's a few different metrics on it. I think the beast category is strictly burst damage or ability to crit, maybe. So,
but I mean that you get weird there.
Beast.
Let's just go ahead and roll the introduction.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody. But to talk for a moment about your crit, if you, like for example, if you push a matriarch out of a 4th-story window onto an unsuspecting passerby, like that's a hell of a crit, right? And that was probably a poor example because it is kind of beast.
Beast.
I think the level of hairiness might have something to do with it, because beasts are hairy, and so if you've got a really hairy synth, either literally or figuratively, they could kind of get beast. Although hairy has different connotations. For example, if you're using a nerdsec's pretty hairy, but it's not hairy in like the matriarch sense or the,
Are we talking like
Oberheim
hairy,
sense.
like man, this is a hairy situation? Are
Yeah,
we talking like
that's more like a hairy situation
hairy,
versus
yeah.
like, whoa, man, that distortion is hairy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a decent metric for determining if something is a beast, I think. Beastliness. Beastliness maybe is its own category altogether. I'm not even entirely sure. Anyway, so there is some news that we're going to cover. There's some stuff we're going to do today. It's not all going to be fun and games, but today we do have a few things that are probably dominating to cover. I don't want to get to the main meat of the conversation first. I want to say hi, though, to Information Trey, who's joining us tonight. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good. This is Gear-Splaining 49. There's some new gear out. The Polyen. There's some new gear afoot. We're going to go over that. There was a video that was released today. I have a new music video that I would like to play for everybody that Abstract AM SCR did the actual video for, and I'm just so excited about it. So we're gonna play that. So that'll be a debut. But mostly we want to have sort of a very sober discussion about the headline that is dominating everything. And so I want to preface this by saying music is often a refuge. Music is often an escape from the troubles of the real world. But it shouldn't be isolated. In my opinion, it needs to be reflective. It needs to be a thing that modulates the real world. It can't be totally cut off. And
I
so
see what you did there.
Yeah. But I meant the word authentically, and I think that makes it authentic itself. I think when art is cut off entirely, it sort of starts buzzing in on itself and cannibalizing itself and becoming this weird mutant thing. Whereas if you're in the context of your times and you're dealing with it honestly, art can become therapeutic. Art can become a way for people to connect. And so here we are on our talk show. We all do art mostly, but we talk once a week. And if today we didn't talk about COVID-19 coronavirus, I think that would be intellectually dishonest, even though this is a show that typically covers synthesizers, because everyone is going through it and it's what's on everyone's mind. So that's the first thing I really wanted to say is we really wouldn't normally go there, but this is something that I believe is worthy to talk about. So
I've always found that when art is cut off completely, you end up with George.
George?
Yeah.
Like, haha, George!
No.
No, who's George? Of
George?
the jungle?
No. George is a radio talk show host. George Norrie. He has a magnificent mustache. Truly magnificent mustache. I'm going to look him up really quick. George.
El Mustache Magnifico.
He is 69 years old. Wow, George.
Nice.
Getting up there. Let me,
Did you guys hear what I did there? Nice.
What'd you do?
Hey, George. You are so George. So keep Georging.
There's George. We salute you, George.
Hey, I like George's mustache. So he's cut off from things?
No. When art is cut off completely, you get George.
Follow. I'm with you. Sort of. Kind of. Not totally sure I'm with you.
I'm hoping somebody is. I'm just gonna I'm gonna leave it there, and we'll move on.
All right. I'm going to have to look up George later so I can pick that one up.
Mm-hmm.
You're burying that one, man. So there is musical news about COVID-19, which I think is our entry point. So I think today was the day of the. I hope history looks back on today as the great remoting, because today was the day, I think, for everybody that the word went out across the nation: if you can work remote, you should. And that's what happened to me. That's what happened to many others. It was a message that was put out. No one wants the liability of a breakout. No one wants to see their employees get unhealthy because of having to attend work when there's a global viral pandemic. And many things are shutting down anyway. We have seen Coachella get moved today. That was the newest one. I think South by Southwest is always ahead of the game. Were you playing something? Sorry about that. South by Southwest last week canceled. Or I guess they had to because it's like about to happen, so they really need to get ahead of it. Hey, Rick Dawson. The thing is these cancellations are, I think, scary, but I think also somewhat appropriate, because think about it. If you're the Cubs, if you're Chicago Cubs and opening day is coming up, you haven't canceled yet. Do you really want to have opening day happen, 50,000 people to get together, and then like a week later, the headline is 2,500 people who went to a Cubs game are now sick with COVID-19. No, that is really not what you want to have occur on your watch. So it's authentic, but it's also good business to cancel. But it's not good business. It's good PR, I guess. And yeah, Ix, I was gonna jump on the NBA just canceled the season. There's a couple pieces to that. I mean, it just happened. This is live breaking news that is happening as we're talking. The NBA, I guess people were getting on the court and they just were like, nope, we're taking this thing out right now. So everyone left. Lucky Knicks fans. This is like the best day for the Knicks ever, I guess, because it's like the least embarrassing day ever for the Knicks. If you're a basketball fan, you know what I'm talking about. The Warriors had previously today announced, because there's a pretty big outbreak happening in Silicon Valley, that they were going to play games without fans. But Rudy Gobert, center for the Jazz, it was announced has coronavirus, has COVID-19. So things escalated from there, and we're looking at a situation now where they had to actually cancel the entire season or suspend it till who knows when, until they have a better plan, I guess. And that is, the NCAA canceled March Madness. Or not canceled, I don't know if they canceled it, but they are playing without fans. At least that's the most recent thing I have. Last I checked, there was still some open discussion if they were going to cancel it. Interestingly, I've noticed that a lot of underground promoters are saying, come to our shows. And I think that's actually kind of a dangerous attitude. It's like they're trying to profit off of it, and there's nothing else to do, so you might as well come out. I think that may be somewhat short-sighted and dangerous, but it is happening. There's a picture of Coachella. That's not gonna happen. Bye bye Coachella for a while. I think that the music festivals are probably even more dangerous than like sports festivals. Any large get together is going to have a lot of things, but music festivals, you get together, you're in a crowd together, you're touching, bumping, you're sweating on each other. If there's a contagious person in there, it's going to spread to a lot of people. So I think that is a particularly viral situation. This is affecting culture. This is affecting work. This is going to affect us economically, though we haven't felt the repercussions. And we're not even close to the most extreme end of it. So there's a long way to go on this. Thus far, I think the most extreme end, at least that I'm aware of, is Italy. So in Italy, we have a country. Italy's been canceled. The NBA canceled its season. Italy canceled its country. In fact, they even I think said that you don't have to pay your mortgage. They're saying that those kind of payments, those monthly payments, since people are really going to be unable to economically make it work, are going to be suspended until the suspension is over. So they are really pushing back on kind of it economically and the spread of the disease. They're taking it very seriously. A1 Voodoo has some interesting comments. As you know, I manage Halucienda, which is DJ3's record label. I speak at length as it relates to events and traveling artists and events they live on. This is really going to affect artists, man, because there is no backstop for that. My job is going to continue. At some point, it won't if the world just totally collapses. But at that point, we'll be hunting gas from our neighbors. But like, if you're an artist and it's live shows that which you make your money off of, you have no repercussion. There's nothing for you to be able to do. People are starting up GoFundMes so that gigging artists who live on the edge are able to do it. Yeah, Berghain closed its doors, and that's not the only one. There's a lot more that are coming to do that with. The great remoting is on. So this is alarming stuff. I think these are things that people look at and they feel like it raises their anxiety. They get very worried. They're worried that we don't know as much about this as we should. But we have one of us on here, Mr. DJ Coherence, who's a data freak, who has been watching all the charts and kind of knows or has teased out some of the trends and may have a little bit of insight to offer, which I don't know I think there's been this notion that the media is hyping this up too much, but I think that's nonsense because I think knowledge is power and we should know everything about this if we're going to deal with it. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Co. What have you seen? You've been keeping track of the chart. What's been going on for you in that world?
So let's see. First, it was really just China. It was China and some surrounding areas like Singapore and Japan. Japan got hit in a very strange way because they had that cruise ship and then they just kind of had like two hot spots. It was like kind of Tokyo city center area and then inland from there. But that was kind of it for a while. It was just kind of, little things here and there for a while. And you watched as the China numbers kind of went up almost on, kind of that like geometric curve for a little while. And you're like, uh-oh, that's not good. That is just straight up logarithmic. And then it slowed down. And then it spiked. And then it almost flatlined. And right about the time it flatlined, we got about a good week or two where it was just kind of flatlined there. It looked like recoveries were underway. Everything was good. And then you started watching everybody else pick up a little bit. And when I started comparing those two, it was like, oh man, this is the same curve. Just it happened way earlier in China. Here it comes. And I've kind of watched that bear out. Every single day, it's the same thing. You watch the little chart, and it is an exact kind of like, ramped circular curve, and then it stops and peaks off at the top, and then they get around to counting the next day, and it pops right back up. And you're like, oof, geez. But yeah, big hot spots right now. Europe. Good God. That popped up really fast. A lot of it was there, and it actually looked like Germany was managing it pretty well, even though they had a bunch of cases. Then you watched it all kind of fold in. Italy, yeah, we know. Iran seems to be handling it better, but they have a huge number as well. And then South Korea, it almost came to a dead stop, which was interesting. But from what I hear, they're doing something like 10,000 tests a day administered, and they just cold stop everything's done. US, on the other hand, we seem to struggle to get tests or to get them administered, or are missing reagents, or whatever. I guess we just can't figure it out.
So here's the part where normally I would say this is Gear-Splaining. Music brings people together, politics pulls people apart. Politics is unavoidable when you're talking about something like this. We're going to try to talk about it still with as much honesty as possible about what's going on. But there is a component to it that we may verge into. So if anybody doesn't want to hear about politics, normally I wouldn't say this, but if you don't want to hear at least some level of political angle, at this point, we're probably going to end up starting to verge into that. Not that we're going to make it a total political angle, but today, or actually, I think like an hour and a half ago, it wrapped up, the president spoke to us. He spoke to the nation, and I watched some of it. I didn't feel as if it was reassuring. My problem with it was 2/3 of it seemed to be focused in on the economy and not the actual health aspect of things. And I think that's a very cynical way to view it, but it also felt like that was where the focus of the speech really was. It was worrying more about the effect of the stock market. The other piece to it was, and this is something that has creeped into my own personal life as people have expressed things which have this tenor, is that there was xenophobia in a lot of what we're hearing. And this is not uncommon. If you even think back to other plagues that have happened, such as like the Spanish flu. Spanish flu is a big one, right? A million people died. Didn't actually originate in Spain. They're just the ones that figured it out. It happened here first. It happened other places, but Spain is the one that figured it out and alerted the world and said we need to put together a solution so that this never happens again. And so, because we usually blame foreign countries and never ourselves, it got the name the Spanish flu, and that was a derogation of the time. And so many people have used, and this is maybe triggering for some people, some very derogatory terms to describe this. One person at work called it the Kung Flu, which is a...
That's pretty good. I know, but it's pretty good. Points for creativity.
That's the thing, is it's
goodness.
kind of creative, but it is also kind of awful, right?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of, oh, it's a foreign virus. It's just a Chinese thing. Oh, the Chinese have unleashed it on the world, and that's all missing the point, because viruses don't care that it happened in one place versus another. It has nothing to do with that. It's human. Yeah, it's a human thing. There may be some people out there that we've not run into yet, some rare people that have a mutation that makes them immune to getting this, and we haven't figured that out yet. But in general, every race, every religion, every ethnicity, these things affect everybody, and we all need to make sure that we are doing our thing to look out for it. And this one is particularly dangerous because there is no vaccine. So here's another thing that comes up often politically, is the anti-vaccination movement. The anti-vaccination movement is, Bridgewater. Yeah, the construction of Kung Flu it's actually kind of funny, but it's also like just like the actual technical construction of the joke is funny, but the actual message underneath it is kind of xenophobic, and that's the problem with it, is that it's cleverly put together. What was I talking about right there before I got distracted by that? We don't have a vaccine for this. So anti-vaxxers often come out against these things, but really we need to be talking about how this is dangerous because there is no herd immunity, there is no vaccine. And though you may fit the definition of a person whom this will not affect, it can still make you sick, and then you can become a carrier and affect someone else. So in other words, having good practices can actually make other people get sick. And it's very selfish to not employ good, solid practices right now. Girl Geek could go on a 1,000,000-day rant about herd immunity. That's why I wanted you on, Girl Geek. But I understand that we go a little late.
Can I just ask really quick? Did the guy who came up with the clever, though inappropriate phrase, was it Phil? You don't have to name.
Kung Flu?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. Phil is... people would do well to not say that around him.
Good. Well,
People would do well not to say that unless
I've
you're
seen
discussing it.
him. I've seen him pull very similar turns of phrase that are wildly inappropriate, but you give him a pass because of his ethnicity. You're like, okay, well, still, that's really messed up, Phil.
No, he's sensitive to this one, and I think that anyone from that region or who has heritage from that region is probably well tuned to some of the things that maybe others among us are just kind of writing off as, well, that was just a funny, harmless joke. All right, so
Oh yeah,
that is
the whole.
kind of my spiel.
You mentioned something. You were saying like, oh, if this isn't gonna affect you or whatever. Make no mistake, it is. Like, whether it's just a bother because you can't buy toilet paper or whatever, you're unless you're 10 years old, you're susceptible. It's gonna happen. So.
And that's if you're susceptible. That's if you happen to get it. If you don't, you are still going to be affected by it now. This is now a condition of humanity. This is a global thing. Everybody is now on watch. By that, I mean, well, the NBA suspended its season. Concerts are getting canceled. So lots of cultural events are starting to go down. There's supply chain disruptions afoot. You still got a mortgage to pay. You still got to earn money to live and exist. The system we live in is a capitalist system. And Cole, what did you say earlier about the bootstraps? What was that?
Oh, that was, yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, granted, we hopefully and probably won't get to this extreme, but it points out an interesting thing when you start watching the kind of the political direction or thoughts of the politicians when they're talking about things like the economy. It's like, yeah, they're on point, and I wonder what the motivation is, because if you had some kind of a serious situation that occurred where, we live in a capitalist society here in the United States, if you're watching in the United States, and so that means that it's on you to make your way. Like, if you work hard and you go to work every day, and if you're smart and if you're take advantage of opportunities that are put in front of you, then you can make it, and if you don't, then you're fucked. That's how it works here. That's it. But what happens when even those people who do work hard and are smart and can take advantage of opportunities when they're put in front of them can't? In mass.
What if there aren't bootstraps?
Yeah, then what? Uh-oh.
The old bootstraps are gone.
All of a sudden you're like, where's Bernie? Figure it out.
So, SenseNet has a question. How is COVID worse than regular flu season we deal with each year? So there's a few pieces to that. And the first is we don't have a vaccine yet, and it's going to be a bit. So let's say it had the regular mortality of the flu, it would become way more widespread because we don't have a vaccine. So we can't develop herd immunity at all. Even the people that don't get vaccinated get protected because so many people do. So the next piece is that that's not even true. It isn't as deadly as the flu. It's more deadly, significantly more deadly.
Yeah, well, and it's the type of complications that it gives you. Within a pretty short period of time, some people will develop like double viral pneumonia, and that's a problem because then you can't breathe. And so we do have the facilities to and the capability to handle that. Like if somebody comes in and they've got double pneumonia, like they can go to the hospital and their chances of surviving are very good. But what happens when you have 10,000 people that have that condition all at once in an area? Then you have a problem because maybe there's only 600 beds in the ICU or maybe 20 beds in the ICU. So it's not so much an issue of this is some horrible deadly virus that's going to destroy you. It's a tax on the system that pushes it to the breaking point. And so if it's one of those things like the flu season where, yeah, maybe an office gets sick or maybe, your family gets sick or a household gets sick and it's onesie twosie and it spreads around the neighborhood and, oh, geez, everybody's got the damn flu. That can be handled. And in most cases, you're not going to develop double pneumonia. So you'll be okay. It'll be painful. It'll suck. You'll lose, work time, whatever it is, but you'll get by. In this case, in a lot of people's cases, you have to go to the hospital. And then that means that there's only so many people that can be triaged at a time.
Yeah, it's the bump. It's the bump that overwhelms our facilities.
Yep.
That's actually what the great remoting, which I'm hoping is what we 30 years from now call this today when everyone went remote, the great remoting. That's, I think, really the point, is to spread yourself out from other people geographically isn't going to stop this thing from going around. It is going to, however, slow it, which does two things. It means that we have a chance of not overwhelming our medical system. And then the next piece is we can build mitigation factors. Yeah, we can build new beds in the meantime, and we can shorten the time frame between now and when we have a vaccine. And the vaccine will be, it might be like the flu vaccine, in which it's like an every year thing, or I don't know how it's gonna. We still have to develop it. And normally that's an 18-month thing, but it might be fast tracked. We might get to something a little bit faster, but it's about burning that down. And so for everyone who's planning on going to NobCon, and I know that's a lot of people on this show, I'm predicting right now that NobCon isn't happening. I'm just making that prediction based on how long it takes to get to a vaccine. Even fast tracked.
We'll probably get to a vaccine by the end of the year.
Yeah. And I think that it'll start to go
because
out
it's fast tracked.
Yep.
So.
A1 Voodoo says, if the great remoting does happen, I will be amazingly happy. So A1, today order came through for me and for Girl Geek. We're going remote. Everyone's going remote. Everyone, like half the people I know got it today, some kind of message from work that it's remote time. Check this is so stupid. I've been getting emails even from some companies that are explaining the ramifications. Banks are like, we're still open for business, and that's cool. One of them was like an email from a podcast, and it was, hey, we're a podcast, so we don't leave our house anyway, so this is still happening. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Open set. That's crazy. I hadn't even considered that, but that's huge because, yeah, as teachers, you guys are on the front line. You're usually getting the short end of the stick when it comes to getting sick. That's awesome.
Yep, I'm thinking that we're not going to have the girls go back to school. I mean, that sucks. We paid for it and we love it, but we want them to. We don't want them to become carriers. And honestly, if a disease whips through there, it's good. Now, paradoxically, they're actually pretty good at that school of sending people home immediately if they think that they're sick. So very rarely does it seem like disease emanates from there, but they're just not going to take anything for granted. Let's see. Comments is flying right now, and I'm having a hard time. Let's see. So SenseNet, hard to push to work remote full time right now because they know I want that. So I'm pretty biased. Honestly, they need to just give that to you. You need to be able to work remote.
I think when we talk about the great remoting,
the great remoting.
Yeah, the great remoting, or when I hint about kind of the economic impact, I really do hope, and I know it's total pipe dreams, but this is my hope that it's one step closer to the Star Trek economy. Get us there. As humans, we've automated enough stuff, we've created enough efficiencies, we have incredible, production capacity, and our productivity is higher than it's ever been. Give a little back. People are working more than ever. At least let them work in comfort. And, if their kid comes up to their desk, they can just be like, oh, hey, honey, just give me 5 minutes, and then go run upstairs for a minute, grab a drink, and say hello. We should be there. Why aren't we? So if something good comes from this, hopefully it's that.
We can start to re-trigger some things like that. Yeah, maybe start rethinking a few things. I think, honestly, this will affect some change. The great remoting, I think a lot of companies are going to realize, hey, we worked pretty well while remote.
Yeah.
We can trust our people to do this remote, and we can save some money on, commercial real estate. Maybe it's time that we start to adopt some of these practices and get out of some of our older ways. I think that a lot of companies are going to see that for the first time because their hand is being forced. Judging based on comments, though, the great remoting is on. Looks like Abstract is. Everyone's going remote for Abstract. Moonhouse AV department. Brother works for a big tech company. They all went remote this week. Google, Facebook, Twitter announced they're all going 100% remote. Everybody's going remote. The great remoting is on. You know, I know there's 25 people here, but I really want to see if we can all like use that term a lot so it becomes like
Wait,
the de
real quick.
facto term.
Yeah, I just wanted to address this one from A1 Voodoo really quick. He said, so as it's not an influenza, it doesn't reduce in warmer temperature. That's correct.
So that means that Florida, already a place that probably should be classified by the CDC, at least in some areas, as dangerous to travel to.
It's one of the spots.
One of the spots, just like the rest of the spots. The great remoting is on. Hold on, I'm gonna change the name of this and I want everyone to refresh just so it can say Gear-Splaining 49, the great remoting. So
The great remoting. Yeah, so far Florida's got 29 confirmed cases, 27 still active. While we're waiting,
what's going on with you with it?
While we're waiting, wait, what was that?
I just wanted to ask InfoTray what's going on with him with regard to this.
Well, in my case, I mean, I work for a healthcare system. I'm non-clinical. I mean, I'm a web developer. So, you know, in my case, there's no reason my job shouldn't be remote. I mean, I work on servers that are in, I think, Atlanta. So it doesn't matter where I'm working from. But yeah, we're getting like, I get an email probably at least one an hour, if not more, about updates about our preparedness and this and that. And I mean, we seem to be on top of it. So I know they've just called a WebEx Fireside chat for Friday to talk about this. So I expect some of that. Maybe if you're non-clinical, non-essential, just stay home is what I'm expecting. My boss has already told me, you know, even before this was happening, she was like, work from home when you need to, come in when you need to. I don't care, just do your job. So, and she's reiterated that. So, you know, I will probably starting next week just voluntarily go with the great remoting.
Great remoting. Embrace it. While we're waiting here for a moment, I wanted to go over some of the weirder places that I've noticed the coronavirus make it. So, starting with not really weird, Hawaii. I was wondering when it would happen. It was very late in the game, but Honolulu finally got one. I think it was last week. It just got another one recently. But some of them are truly bizarre. One of them, this was clearly somebody who was trying to escape all of the hubbub in the Maldives. 8 people, in fact. Yep. And then this one's a real good one. The Faroe Islands. Do you even know where the Faroe Islands are?
Now I do.
Yep. 2 cases there. That's interesting. Iceland managed to pick up 85, which is fascinating. And I think there's one here. It's off the coast of France. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, it's not populating.
Weird. It was coming up.
It was. I'm going to refresh really quick. Apparently.
Maybe that person literally just got cured.
No, they show recovered.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, it looks like
maybe
it
they just
might
died.
be kind of broken.
Oh, grim, man, but also
we go.
possible.
Yeah, it's the Channel Islands, which apparently belong to the UK. So yeah, there's a lot of really weird ones. You know, this one out here, Reunion. I don't know what Reunion is. Apparently it's a small landmass that is east of Madagascar. Go figure.
Well, they're about to have to deal with the same thing everyone is. You know what I recommend for them? Going remote.
Yeah, I will leave a link for anybody that wants to play along. It's hosted by Johns Hopkins, and it's been up since very early in the spread. So it's interesting because they'll show hotspots. They used to show each individual location, but I think it was just too difficult to render and or track, so they kind of truncated it to just areas now. Like you have California's like 2 zones now. It's like California and like Silicon Valley.
So I did want to address something that Dobofus had said. Going back a little bit, actually he said a lot of interesting things, but one of them was that remote is great for economies that can support remote work. It's going to be impossible for some countries without destroying them. And in fact, I would go further that we're doing the right thing, because spreading it out can help slow the spread. But you know what really occurred to me thinking about this is that not just countries or economies that can support remote work, but like socioeconomic positions, titles, that type of work. If you have a corporate job, a corporate desk job, you probably get paid, decent, maybe middle class wage, and you're able to go remote. That's the people who are able to do that. Well, if you're a blue collar guy, if you work at a factory, if you work at a warehouse, if you work at a line, if you work in production, if you work in a metal house, if you're a smelter, there's no going remote. You can't weld stuff remote. You're going into work. And so not only that means that people who make less money and have probably less access to healthcare because of it also are the ones that need to continue working and thus stay in the hot zone, so to speak, of exposure, and more likely to get it and transmit it to their families and around their circles. That's just something that I think needs to be pointed out, that here we have a disease and we have a function of society that we can use to mitigate it. But once again, it's for kind of, middle class and up, and people who live, at or below the poverty line are really going to be the ones hit the hardest, as that seems always how the story goes. Anyway, end rant, sorry. That's just been kind of weighing on me. It's just this disease even is going to exacerbate inequality. So what can we do as artists, as a community, about this?
Well, we can start by asking Blackpool a question. Blackpool, I've been watching those numbers quite a bit, and one of the things that I noticed is that in Australia, you guys had kind of the four spots where you had cases that were along your eastern coast, and all of that makes sense. Those are the densely populated areas. And then there was the one that, a couple that popped up in Perth, and you had one fatality there. And it was like, okay. But then 3 showed up over on the east side. And for the longest time, it was 1 and 3 fatalities. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. Then suddenly, I think it was about 2 days ago, the number was revised to 2. What happened? Did a small miracle occur, or was it just a misaccounting? Let me know.
I gotta say one thing about Australia. You guys have had a shit year, and I really hope that coronavirus is pretty easy on you guys. You all have had you had like fires, and then you got some relief because gigantic floods mitigated the fires, so it was a slightly lesser massive ecological disaster ongoing. And now I guess everyone is dealing with this shit, but now global pandemic is hitting Australia. I hope that all the jokes about how dangerous a place Australia is means that it's more dangerous than fucking coronavirus, and you guys can just shrug this off and be all good. That's what I want. I want Australia to be the first country to emerge and be all right, because the shit you guys have, you deserve to have something better come of it. That's what I got to say for Australia. That's my hope here. So what can we as artists do? What can we as musicians and DJs and composers, what can we all do? I don't know. I have ideas, but I want to ask you guys. I think that we, the people here, have something that we have to offer that is unique to us, especially in this current environment, and that is our main method of transmitting our art to people is not in person. And there's a whole lot of not in person things about to happen, right? People are not going to be going out. They're going to be staying home. People are not going to be going to movies as much, restaurants. They're not going to be going to sporting events, concerts. I think we have almost like an obligation to fortify communities, to, if we know people that get sick, help with fundraisers for them, if until it gets overwhelming when everyone's sick, and that's just going to do it. We need to make sure that we are streaming what we do so that people can have an escape, or maybe not even an escape, but some kind of group therapy, something that people can come together and do. I think that is one of the greatest functions of art. I mean, the bubonic plague rolled into the Renaissance. It was no mistake that what saved the world was culture in the end, and that was the thing that people hung on for and fought for, and that's the thing that brought everyone together, and that's the thing that inspired the scientists, and eventually, the King Solomon truism that this too shall pass came to be. And so I think that we almost have an obligation to put out art, not entertainment. I'm going to cheapen it and call it entertainment. We have an obligation to put out art. That's what I think. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I might even simplify, even less so than art, even just escapism. People are losing their ways. I mean, the sports are getting shut down. You can't go out to a restaurant anymore. There's no way to escape from it all anymore. And maybe right now the only way to get escapism is to watch some dickhead on Twitch badly DJing music. Speaking for myself here, of course. There are plenty of talented people in this group who can actually DJ, but then there are people who fake it till they make it, like me. But nonetheless, we can be giving that outlet, that way of thinking about something else for a little while, being entertained and distracted from real life, I think.
Mm-hmm. And connecting with other people. So there's an aspect of this that I think isn't getting talked about much, but I think it probably should. Though I think we are overwhelmed right now, so we're not talking about it because we're overwhelmed. But I think there's a mental health aspect to this. And the reason why I think there's a mental health aspect to this is because I am myself dealing with anxiety that I don't normally deal with. I'm a very resilient person. So this has me worried, and then it also has me, there's another piece to it that has me worried because my hobby, the thing I do for fun, is I come into this room and I make music, and I may hang out online with you wonderful people, and I may stream, then I'm still in this room. I'm alone, ultimately. I go to work, and I can work remote anyway, but I like to go to work because I like to be around people and talk to people and work, collaboratively with people, and, I have good relationships with people there, and I get to see them, and it's important to me because of how I'm built. Not everyone needs that. I understand that that's not something that is important to everyone, but I'm kind of worried about an extended version of this because I love my wife and kids, but that means I'm looking at an extended period of only seeing them and being in this room. Although I love this room, but being in this room like 13 hours a day. And that to me is kind of a bit daunting. It makes me worried that I'm not going to want to be in here when I'm done doing work, because I'm going to start to associate it differently than I do with just, here's my art space. I could work in another room, but this is really the one that's set up the best. It's the most comfortable. Maybe I do just do that and work in another room, but I'm going to be alone. And that's a mental health thing. I'm worried that that's going to kind of, I definitely seek out people, and that makes me balanced. So I have anxiety about that. And I'm not a person who typically lives with much anxiety. I have a pretty even keel. So I think that if this is starting to get me worried like that, other people may also be encountering some similar things. And so I think that might be something that needs to enter into the conversation, is how this could affect people on that level. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the only one who's thinking that way and worried about the great remoting having that kind of effect on people. I could be wrong, though.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, but as somebody who on a default day has a giant shit pile of anxieties going on 24/7, 365 days a year, this is even more piled onto that. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. Even as an introvert, and I am hugely introverted. I have social anxieties, and I prefer to not leave the house. But at the same time, if I don't leave the house for a while, it kind of ends up being like, I don't know if anybody's ever read the Oatmeal cartoons. the comic strip, where he had one about the longer you work from home, like eventually you're just basically like shitting in your pants and not bathing for a month. And like, I mean, obviously it's a parody, but there comes a point to that where I have worked from home for extended periods of time or been unemployed for extended periods of time. And, suddenly you're waking up at 9 p.m. at night and staying up until 7 a.m. the next morning playing video games and not facing the dawn. And that kind of, that could easily happen again.
It could. It absolutely could.
You need to get out and see people. Even us introverts need to leave the house once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to address something that Girl Geek said. Anxiety is not a question of resilience, though. Perhaps I used the word wrong, but I guess it's probably a bit more. It's a bit more accurate to say that though I probably, like everyone else, feel anxiety, I typically don't feel it for sustained periods. It kind of I come out of it pretty quickly. It's not something that I know people who have real problems with anxiety, and I think what I ever encounter is probably more on the mainstream bandwidth of it, not anything outstanding or unique. So it's probably normal problems as opposed to anything totally unique to me in that case. And maybe this one is kind of unique to me. OpenSet has a great comment that I wanted to highlight and say aloud because it's awesome, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Thank you for posting that. Simple conditioning tricks some people use to associate a space with different activities, because that's what I'm talking about. This is my creative space, and if I start, messing with Gantt charts and taking work calls in here, I'm going to be changing that. Use a slightly different colored light, and that can cause a space to feel a different context. Like my work desk turns into my creative desk when the water light gets turned on and the normal ones gets dimmed. That is a fantastic idea, and maybe that's what I do to counter the issue.
That is precisely what I do. When I come to work, I have. It looks a little bit like this, where I've got the ring light and I've got the two kind of floods on the side, so that if I'm on a conference call, I show up just fine. I actually put up a divider, which gives me some kind of a solid background, so that people aren't looking at the mess behind me. And then that's it. And then the moment that I'm done with work, I turn all this stuff off, I flip the lights, and it's a more comfortable space. It looks different, it feels different. Physically, it's the same, but it's, I take that divider out, and now, oh look, there's a whole room there, and there's all kinds of cool knobs and synths and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had to stop working in my creative space.
Considering
I ended up getting a laptop when I migrated to that, and if I'm working, I just take the laptop and sit at the kitchen table, or generally I'm just laying on the couch.
Have you moved yet, your studio?
Nope. No, this is still the tiny bedroom. Still cleaning out the attic, and I've also got to wait forever for Output to send me because I ordered those Output desks.
Hold on, I got to sing real quick. Hold me closer, tiny bedroom. Sorry.
Yeah, those things take, 8 to 10 weeks because they're built to order. So I've got to wait until sometime, hopefully early to mid-May before the desk and the new sidecar and racks and everything show up. So I'm not going to move anything until then.
So have we got it out of our systems on COVID-19? Should we move on to some gear? Music, some stuff that we love as opposed to some stuff that makes us afraid?
I would like to mention that multiple times this week I have been getting Placido Domingo news on my phone.
All right, it's starting to figure out that
I've been getting the play-by-play, like, of him denying the denial, and then like saying not sorry, and then saying, well, kind of sorry, and then saying, oh, it's a different time, and then saying, oh, they wanted it, and
we're back, baby, we're back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so Placido Domingo, I would just want to note, has been our catharsis.
Yeah.
And let us do it So since big data has figured out that you talk on a weekly basis about Placido Domingo and you're so up to date,
You
do
are
you
in
wanna
the
take it?
algorithm.
Yeah. Do you want to take us there? Share with us your new Placido. He was in the news. Like, there's a brand new headline on NPR about it.
I'm not gonna hook my phone up to the stream right now, but yeah, I mean, let's do a quick search and see what the latest is.
I'll post the latest. I saw it earlier. I just was like, do we really want to go over fucking Placido again? But we need catharsis as a people. We have to send him,
here we go.
as Upper Deck said, back to the Gulag.
19 hours ago from CNN.com, LA Opera investigation finds sexual harassment allegations against Placido Domingo credible. Oh, you son of a bitch.
Fuck you, Placido Domingo.
Oh, Placido Domingo. More bad news for Placido Domingo.
Yeah, maybe he's happy about coronavirus because it means he's not the big headline
That's true.
on Gear-Splaining anymore.
Maybe wag the dog, right? Another conspiracy theory.
Yeah, this whole thing was invented by Placido Domingo,
That's
so he's
right.
no longer the big one.
Placido Domingo, he's an opera singer and a biochemical weapons specialist.
Yeah, exactly. He's a rapist, opera singer, and a biochemical weapons specialist. He's a Renaissance dickhead.
Oh man, look at that. That's him. See, that looks like him refuting the allegations, doesn't it? That picture right there.
Yeah, except
but
like
no,
he's wearing a.
if you read the caption, it says file photo: opera singer Placido Domingo performs during a concert in Hungary. Yeah.
But you know what though? Like, if in my mind, when he goes to court, he's still wearing the tuxedo. Okay, so that could be him refuting the allegations. Like, he always wears a tux. This guy sleeps in a tux.
Ooh,
the only time he's not wearing a tux is when he's raping.
A Bridgewater had a good one that I want to combine in. Placebo Domingo.
Ooh, we got to figure out how to get that one in there.
That's good. Wow, look at this. Oh, Andrea Bocelli. He says it's absurd to shun Placido Domingo.
Did he say I never saw anything happen?
Let's find out.
Oh, come on, because he's blind, right? Andrea Bocelli's blind.
Understand this. So tomorrow, a lady can just come up and say, Andrea
Wow, this
Bocelli
audio is
molested me
awful.
10 years ago. And from that day on, then nobody wants to sing with me anymore.
Yeah, well, he's basically, hey, it's cool, you know, people get down, it happens. Anyway, I would like to take a pit stop really quick at this news story about Native Instruments. This one freaked me out when I first read that, but turns out not as bad as originally anticipated. So Native Instruments is going to discontinue a pretty substantial list of products. And when we say products, they're talking about software products, meaning that they can't even be reinstalled on new computers. So like if you have these, you know, you bought these VSTs back in the day, they're just gone. But if we take a look at the actual list of those items, we're talking about things like Absinthe 2 and 3. We're talking about
this was a non-story to me.
Yeah,
I think people
OG
saw this
battery.
and got pissed. People got pissed at the concept, and I kind of understand getting pissed at the concept. Sorry, Info, go.
No, I was gonna say I was scrolling down the list and I saw Tractor 3 for a second and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, woo.
But and then I realized their confusing naming system.
Yeah, the
that's
Tractor
the old Tractor.
DJ Studio 3, which was released in 2005. And they're finally sunsetting Tractor Final Scratch, both 1.5 and 2. Aww. What am I going to do with my Final Scratch interface?
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, this is all they're
your door
not
open.
Developing their old installer program. I can't remember what it was called.
The Service Center.
Yes.
They're discontinuing that, and that's the only way that these programs can be installed anymore, since they're not in native access. Personally, I think if they really wanted to, they could have enabled these in native access.
That's
but
where
why,
I'm at.
Why bother at this point?
Yeah,
Who's still using the Pro 52 or whatever it was called?
while I won't lambast them for sunsetting some of these products, this right here, the frequently asked questions number 1: why did Native Instruments decide to terminate or discontinue the Activation Service Center. And that was like their reason. They're like, oh, the service center is being sunsetted, therefore we must kill all of these products. It's like, no, that's not how this works, but okay.
Yeah, the messaging is wonky, but so there's one piece here. Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, I remember some of these programs once upon a time did not need online authorization. I'm thinking back to like the early, like very skeuomorphic stuff. I've still probably got a complete CD somewhere with the installers for all these on it.
I think none of them required that at one point or another. Maybe Reactor 5.
Nope.
Yeah, but I've still got a Reactor 4 disc. Like, I could still install. I'm just wondering, like, I don't know if those could still be installed and worked if you still have the physical media for these, or if it's just everything has been updated to where it requires online. I don't.
As long as you don't have an online activation component, it should work just fine, I would think.
And they don't. That I have a complete 3 sitting right there, and it doesn't. Hold on, I'll grab it.
Contact 1.0. While you gonna grab?
I mean, I'm not going to go digging out my installers to run any of these old programs, anyways.
No.
But
I mean, it got absent 5 or 6 or whatever the hell it is.
I did last year attempted what I called my spelunking my archives thing, where I had a bunch of older music that I kind of wanted to resurrect and update and possibly release. But that meant digging into like old Mac G3s and stuff and trying to find all this old software, and it was miserable.
Yeah,
But,
I didn't
there was
even...
like 3 songs I was able to recover, and that was because I did them mostly in hardware and recorded them to disk instead of keeping everything virtual.
Look at this thing.
That's
Look at that.
crazy.
It's huge, man. They did not mess around. They're all. I miss box software, and I got the first piece of the Stylus remix, and it kind of brought me back. I understand that box software is stupid and shit, but the thing is so like 2/3 of this list is stuff that is actually still on the market. It's just is no longer in the compact Nave Instruments. Instead, it's the Contact player. So it's been up in their third-party products that Nave Instruments just helped facilitate for a time the resale of. Like Chris Hine horns, you could still go buy that. That library is just no longer being sold in the mapping for compact. It always was still compatible with Contact, but it was pre-NKS. But now you can get it as an NKS. So it's still like there. You just have to buy it from Chris Hine. Compact got discontinued, so it took out all of those. And these things got discontinued like 15 years ago. They just have kept them on native access. So there is one shitty component to this, and that is there's a few products that are in here which should have continued altogether that just completely died off. And those are arguably B4, though there is in Contact a B4, but it's no longer an emulation with all the drawbars. It's a sample-based one. Pro 53 is kind of sad to see go, though you can get that pretty easily elsewhere, but if you owned it, kind of still sucks.
I used that a lot back in the day.
The 2 that suck the most, and this is, again, an outrage, from like 2009 or 8 or something, a long time ago, this is when this was a problem, is Vocator and Spectral Delay. Those 2 didn't make it into the next rev of complete. I forget if it was between 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. It was something like that. Vocator was their vocoder. Arturia B3 V2 would be a replacement, Doug, but it still sucks if you paid for Pro 53 and now you don't have it. Although,
So
Vocator
I was just going to mention that this is something that the video game community, especially like online gaming people, have been dealing with for quite some time. In fact, there's even, I know of at least one foundation that is put together as a kind of an MMO archivist or historian community, where some of these games, they build massive communities, and tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people would all connect, and they would build these communities within that game. It would be very much like if Discord has decided to discontinue the shrimp server, but like times 100,000. And so they're going, well, people forge stories in these worlds. They forge memories in these worlds. There are things that went on in these worlds that were important, and so we want to be able to retain that. And the game companies, in many cases, are like, we'll sue the shit out of you. And so, yeah, so that's
Vanilla.
a tricky
That's what
thing.
led to WoW.
Well, and so that's the
led to
thing.
WoW Classic.
Now, while none of these products really affect us in any way, is this a harbinger? Is this okay? Cool. You're gonna buy these. You're gonna buy Omnisphere 2 for $500. We've decided to just stop it. Stop. And since everything requires online activation, fuck you. Figure something else out. It's like, and you know what? If you read the EULA, they're perfectly within their rights to do that.
Yeah.
You don't own
I
the
think
software.
we just need to get it out of our heads that anything digital we're actually buying is all these things we're renting.
Yep.
And you saw it with like when Microsoft shut down their third different music service. So they tried, and all your songs just went away if you had bought them. Or there was a competing like Kindle book service recently that shut down, and it was basically, yep, sorry, these are all gone. You don't have them anymore.
Yeah, I think Amazon pulled 1984 or something. It was like, that's a perfectly suited book for your weird dystopianness.
So it is.
Yeah, I mean,
bullshit.
one of my favorite soft synths for years was the Albino, the Rob Papin, however you say his name. I love that thing, and he just ran on me one day and said, no, it's discontinued. You can't authorize it anymore. Oh, great. Okay, well, I'll find a new one, I guess.
Yeah, it sucks. So here's the thing.
That's why we should all
If the
use
company
hardware.
still exists, it should still be able to. It had online activation for products. It should still support that, and that's really irritating when that doesn't happen. Although it doesn't seem to like really affect me, and the reason why is, well, this Native Instruments thing. In order to actually authentically have it affect you, you'd have to be running a computer from like 2005. None of these products have a newer operating system on Windows than XP. None of them. Every single one of them, the last operating system that they were on was XP. You got to have a Windows XP system running with everything on it for this to even like really give a shit. It's still bullshit.
Yeah, but you don't. Like, that's the thing. Even, as garbage as Microsoft is about a lot of things, compatibility is one of the things that they've done really well. It's why their operating system is kind of hot garbage a lot of the times, because it has to maintain Win32 compatibility, which means that your applications from Windows XP probably going to work okay on Windows 10. Not guaranteed, but probably.
Okay, hold on now. You're blowing my mind. You think that there's a way I could take my NI Complete 3 right here and extract from it vocator and spectral delay, and since they're 32-bit, I probably have to put them in JBridge somehow and actually use them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you look...
Mind blown.
Do yourself a favor really quick. Open up your File Explorer. Do it right now. Follow along at home if you want. I'll go ahead and, well, no, I do have some proprietary stuff on that. Anyway, open up your File Explorer. Go ahead and click on your C drive right there. And go down to where it says Program Files. Read those off for me. Read the folders off for me. The one that starts Program Files.
Ableton Packs, Applied Acoustic Systems,
alphabetically, sir. The one that starts Program Files, and just read down.
I'm missing what you're asking me
I'll
to do.
start it off.
Sorry.
Okay, here we go. I'll do it. Program files, parentheses x86, and program data. So that program files x86, that's your 32-bit version of everything, which means that your 64-bit copy of Windows 10 can run 32 or 64-bit software perfectly fine. And while we're at it, if you go ahead and find yourself any old exe, it doesn't matter which one, and you right-click on it, and you click on Properties, and then you click on, Compatibility, you will find that there's a little drop-down box there where you can select the version of Windows that you would like to run it as. So there you go.
Well, that is fantastic.
All right, I'm installing my copy of Logic 5 in Windows now.
Boom.
Yep, it's time to get Spectral Delay and Vocator back. Those are the two I want. There's good stuff in this. This is good software. There's Reactor, Absinthe, Guitar Rig, Contact Battery, Electric Piano, which also got discontinued but moved into Contact as a sample set. Intact. You guys remember Intact?
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
Remember, just as a quick preview, so the versions that are supported for compatibility's sake are Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows Vista Service Pack 1 and 2, and the original, Windows XP Service Pack 2 and 3, not the original, just Service Pack 2 and 3, so it has to be SP2 or 3 compatible. Windows 98, Windows Malfunctioning Edition, and Windows 95.
By the way, this box, this thing's intense. This
That
thing's
is
like
intense.
10 pounds.
Yeah, and not to mention the color of red, along with your camera saturation. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, I turned the saturation up too much, but it's because the light washes out my skin, so at least adds a little bit of color back. Hold on, let me get this thing.
All right.
Although
Well,
in a month, it's going to be because I've just been inside for a month and I don't want to appear to be as pasty as I actually am. Look at these things. It comes with these incredible books that were like manuals for the software. They're like little novels.
wow,
Look at
that.
this. This is great. This is the FM7 manual, and it's literally like a little paperback.
I just found out that
I
FM7
love
was
that.
a thing today. I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't realize it was it started with 7? Yeah. It was DX7. Then they decided to beat Yamaha by going to 8. Like that. That's the thing to do to beat Yamaha.
Yep. Our amplifiers go to 11. They're like,
Our
well, our
amplifiers
DX
go to
goes to
11.
8.
That's exactly what it was.
So, I wanted to play us a little trailer here. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, but just in case, I don't want anybody to miss out. So, a teaser for the Polyend tracker.
Oh wait! Before we
Oh.
get there, hold
Oh
on. I'm
man,
sorry.
talk about anticlimactic. Real nice, dude.
No, okay, we can do it. I wanted to do the other video, but we'll do this one. Sorry.
That's like, oh, I need to tell you something. I need to tell you something. What? Never mind.
Yeah, I'm good at podcasting.
All right, here we go.
I'm Joe Frogan.
I need this in my life, I think.
This is so you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I need this in my life. So real quick, before we get to anything else, I did want to play this one. Rick Dawson linked this one for me from the pervasive Richard Devine. So I'm going to throw this on really quick. Check this out. He's using the pattern mutation in the thing, along with some of the randomization. And this is what trackers are for, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, buddy. That was so good.
Yeah, I think I'm with Ix on this one. On the one hand, I love everything about it. On the other hand, I don't. Like, I don't. As somebody who's not used a tracker since, like, probably the Amiga, like, I remember loving it and just how utterly demented you could get, like what you just played.
Yep.
At the same time, I don't know if my brain can handle that workflow today. So
I've got
hopefully they
faith.
figured out a way to maybe make it a little a little more friendly than
Yeah,
number grids and
I think I've got faith because it's poly-end. The simplicity of the interface looks interesting. Here,
I
let me.
think you can still play stuff into it, like it's a normal sequencer and
what it
operate
looks
that.
like, yeah.
But you
Like,
could
it looks
edit
like
it like it's a
it's got a grid
tracker.
controller for something on it, like unless that's a really shitty QWERTY keyboard. But it looks like a grid controller to me.
The
But
world's shittiest QWERTY.
yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
so Co, I fully
There we
expect
go.
you to get this. I honestly think that this thing was built for you, the way your mind works, and it looks gorgeous. Let's be honest, this thing looks amazing. The screen is absolutely gorgeous, and they put a lot of thought, obviously, into the UI. I think that I will not touch this thing, not a chance.
The make or break for me is going to be what does the back look like?
The outputs.
Yeah, because the only thing I've seen so far is power and an audio jack, which confuses me a little bit. The audio jack.
It's got a sampler on it.
Yeah,
because
because
clearly
that
it's
means
doing
it clearly has a
granulation.
sampler. It, he's shown them like adjusting a cutoff and everything, and some reverb. So it's got effects. It better, in that case, it better have audio in, and it better be stereo in. It better
It's
be stereo
Octa
out.
tracker. Get it?
Yeah, maybe something like that. But I we'll see. And being polyend, I'm praying that they integrated some control voltage somewhere in the mix. If they didn't, that's going to be a real disappointment. But we'll see. Because I mean, this thing, you think about it taking on something like the NerdSec, and this wins hands down on usability and interface. But I think it'll come down to the control voltage.
Well, we're going to
It was
find out
hard for
more.
me to tell from the video, but it almost looked like with some of the waveforms, like they might have been doing some kind of granular synthesis. Or
Yep.
was that just
was
tweaking
loop-
start stop points for the
Yeah, it
loops?
could have been, like Digitac style granular synthesis. So just basically, super fast looping. But we'll see. I'm excited regardless. It looks like a ton of fun. I'm hoping that the price tag isn't like $1,500, but the price tag's probably going to be like $1,500. So we'll see. It is beautiful. Do that.
It will either be fully in my wheelhouse or just fuck this thing.
You're way off in left field.
I think that there's no middle ground on this thing. I'm either going to really, really want to buy it or just no.
Yeah, it's a
So we'll
tracker,
see.
so it's just like, did you enjoy Renoise and or making music on an Amiga? If the answer was like emphatically yes, then this maybe is for you.
This is the top of the
did
mountain if
in-
you like those.
What the 90s was? What, like 92 maybe? Was that?
Yeah, kind of 90, 92, 95.
Was awesome back then. No, I don't know. We'll see.
I tried one once and I hated it. I knew it from the moment I tried it. I will not be touching this thing, but I fully also believe that you should do it, Co. You are going to crush on this thing, actually. I think that this will fit your mind. I think that the way you'll put things together is going to be nuts, and you're going to take it from techno into straight up like weird IDM level stuff. And I think that's what this thing's built for. What I do question is how on earth you could turn a tracker into a jam instrument. So it might be more that you're building tracks and writing and doing composing than doing jams. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I just don't understand how such a
Trackers are-
detailed workflow could
They're
become
so
a jam thing.
fast. That's the thing. They're so fast. Like if you watch somebody who's really good with like Renoise, for example, which is a modern software tracker, they don't use a mouse. And they often won't use instruments. Like you won't bother with like a keyboard. Like you won't have the key step sitting next to you because it's pointless. Like you go, oh, I've got this thing in my head, and you'll watch them start typing on the left side of the keyboard. It'll be like ZXDF Shift F, and you're just watching a stream of numbers and letters pop on the screen, and they play it, and it's like, you're like, what the? How? What? But that's it's like data input.
Yeah, they're using
satisfying.
an actual keyboard.
Yeah, they're just plugging in. Like I would like to play a C7, or I need a G sharp, minor. It's like you put that in, and then that's what it does.
I think this is a pretty unique device, and I don't think there's anything quite like it that I've ever seen. That alone, I salute you, Polyend. Well done. There's some other Synth World news. I do want to get to that, but first, there's a debut I want to throw out there before everyone goes to bed. So I have a music video that was done by Abstract AMCR for one of my new tracks. And with everyone's agreement, I usually don't play my own music. I try to feature other people, but I would love to play it for everyone here. Is everyone all right with that? Did everyone drop acid or mushrooms or something? Because you're going to need to, otherwise this might be really irritating. Just kidding on that one. Maybe, I don't know. Go, throw it on, let's do this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Kushner, Duality 303, presented by Abstract AMCR. You thought it was over? Nay.
I say nay.
faces were super creepy. Ladies and gents, Dan Kushner, Duality 303. Visuals brought to you by Abstract AMC.
So here's what we got going on there. We have amazing visuals, and I watched it with my jaw on the floor because it was so gorgeous. And I really want to thank Abstract for doing something like that. I think it was just so amazing, and I'm honored to have provided the music for something that looks that good. That's how I feel, honestly. Now, that exact video and track are not what I'm going to put up. So I bought a cassette. I didn't buy. When I was at the studio last week, Justin had like dozens of extras. My hair is kind of sticking up mad science style, but that's fine. Cassette tape decks. So I have a new plan. My plan is for stuff that I'm going to put up on Beatport and iTunes and Amazon, whatever. So this for sale. That's going to be the clean version. Stuff that goes on YouTube and SoundCloud, anything like that. I'm going to dub it to cassette first. I'm going to record it back in, and I'm going to match that back up with the audio, and that's what goes up there. So it's going to have like the saturation and some of the hiss. It's going to be a cassette tape that comes back. Now, that's at least my concept right now. That might not be what actually happens. I might hear it and think that it just sounds not so good, so maybe I shouldn't do that. But the concept is right now I'll do that at least for stuff that I put up. Maybe that's too beautiful a video, and the more I think about it, the more for something like that, I want to make sure it's pristine and the video is like the full product. But I'm at least going to try it out with the cassette tape thing and see if it sounds cool. If it does, I'm going to do that. That's what I'm saying. Now that said, so this track is called Duality 303. It features the Behringer TD3. You know, fuck Behringer, but it does sound really good. There is another track that I made. It's Duality, and it is identical in structure, and a lot of the fills are the same. It is called Duality DFAM. So the composition is identical. So here's what's different. Composition DFAM, Duality DFAM features the DFAM, and so that's a very modern analog synthesizer, very contemporary. And then the other piece to that is the drums on that are like a 909, very classic techno drum kit. So that has your contemporary and synth and classic drums. Well, Duality 303 that you just heard was the opposite. It used a 303, well, a TD3, and so that's very traditional kind of acid synth. And then the drums are all very modern. I used TDK and some polyplex stuff to make sure that it was very very contemporary sounding drums. And they're still techno, but none of those sounds come from like a 909 kit. Right. So now if you were to take the two tracks and literally pop them on top of each other, they would actually like all the changes would happen. All the fills would happen at the same time. And there's a few moments in both tracks that bring the 303 into the DFAM one and the DFAM one into the 303. So they're inextricably linked. That was kind of the idea behind making two tracks out of one. And then that video is going to get a partner. So Abstract, he commented. He has a friend who's going to run his video through a Eurorack video synth to give it that 1980s CRT effect, fuzzing, and feel. And so when that happens, gonna sync that up with the master of Duality DFAM, and then that is the release. And so those I'm gonna be putting up for sale. So in the next week or two, I'm gonna put them up the next day or two, but it's gonna be another week or two or three until we get to the actual release. So it'll be up on Beatport and everywhere. So super excited for that. Really happy with how it came out, and just over the moon with how the artwork looks. Thank you so much, Abstract. Julie had a video synthesizer. It's not really like a synth, but it's a video. Well, it kind of is. It generates a thing, right?
Yeah. Some are synthesizers. Some are effects units. Some are conversion tools. Some are degradation tools. Saturators. They have a lot of the same stuff that we do in the synth world. speaking of, there's also a laser synth. Also, I just wanted a quick thank you, Blackpool, and thank you, Doug, for the cheers.
Thank you, Blackpool, and thank you, Doug. So the imagine you had a VHS player and you played with the tracking and it screwed it up and it made it like, remember when you played the tracking, it would keep on going up in a loop? That's kind of, there's a video synth module that does that. It messes with the tracking. Some other ones generate actual video just by playing again with the electrical signal in a similar way to how analog synthesizers do it. So it's pretty cool stuff. And so using this video as kind of like the source, and then whatever he does to it, processing it and sending it back, it'll be kind of the similar duality that we're getting off of the DFAM to contemporary drum kit and 909 to 303 and contemporary to DFAM. So very excited about how that whole product is coming together. Really grateful that it was so nice and easy to work with Abstract, because he's got his own creative mind and he was able to do something that just crazy, just absolutely nuts. Did you guys all see the mushroom in the middle?
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Yeah. Little dancing mushroom.
A little mushroom.
Sounds
right on.
good. Looked good. That sounded great. Looked great. Let me amend that. Great work, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. What else we got going on? Do we have anything else?
Well,
Quick bit of follow-up from my previous appearances on here, since this has been a topic every time I've been on here so far. Hold on.
If he breaks out a Papa John pizza and eats it on camera, I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
I have regained possession of the 303. This has been a point of topic. Every appearance so far I've been on here, it's been about my mythical 303 that was in my friend's studio. I did finally go and I have it to prove that I do actually own one, and it's a devilfish no less. So
that is beautiful.
just a little bit of follow up there. Popped into my head because you were talking about the 303 lines. I was like, oh yeah, I got one of those.
Nice.
Yeah. I already used it on one song for the RPM challenge. So
yeah, man.
And
You
haven't touched it
sequenced it
since.
elsewhere though. You sequenced it in Ableton. You didn't use the sequencer on it.
Yep, I was sitting there playing on the push, playing a 303. It was kind of surreal.
Yeah, what a world we live in, that you could just click a button on push and bring up your actual 303.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things the mod adds is CV gate. So, yeah.
Nice.
So why don't you have it patched? Why is it sitting there like totally floating around like that? Why was it so easy to grab?
I just ran and unplugged it real quick to bring it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, because it's on my little. I've got like the Jasper stand like just off to my left here. It was within reach, so I just yanked the cables out real quick and brought it over here. Yeah. Yeah, it's plugged in. It's set up as an external instrument live and everything. So all I got to do is drag that over and boom, instant 303. It's magic.
Was today New Gear Day for you?
No. Tomorrow I should have my Impact tomorrow.
Nice. Impact and real 303. That's all you need. You do that in like a simple sampler and you can actually do, a 20-minute jam without breaking a sweat.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd
really
actually hoped to do something for 303 Day, but I didn't have time that weekend to get anything together. So.
Yeah, it comes and it goes. Hey, what's the desk you're getting? Let's peep that.
That is the Output Mixit. I'm trying to remember the actual name of the desk. Let me see here. Let's do some Googling.
Yeah, Eli, you got some New Gear today too.
New Gear Day.
Yeah,
Best day of the year.
The
Output platform, huh?
So, TwitchCon 2020 Amsterdam, and all you got was that badge. Son of a.
Wait, what? You get a free badge if you go to TwitchCon? Oh, that's what that is in front of Eli's name?
Yeah, but, everything's canceled, so.
How'd you get the badge then? If
Well,
that means
'cause
you didn't
he
go.
was gonna go, but
Oh,
canceled. Nice.
still going to Amsterdam? How are we on the map with Amsterdam? Amsterdam.
Netherlands is not great. they're not as bad as other locations, but definitely could be better. Currently sitting at 503 confirmed cases, 498 of which are active because the others have expired. France also is not in great shape. 2281 with 48 fatalities. Whew.
Ouch.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going full Italy by the end of the week. Watch.
Italy is currently at almost 12.5.
Yep. Well, I mean, these things spike exponentially for a little bit.
Cleveland is at 3.
Oh, damn it, Cleveland.
Even the virus is like, fuck
And
Cleveland.
all 3 were discovered at the hospital system that I work for, so that was
geez.
exciting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, they've already told us like everybody that came in contact with those patients has already been sent home and quarantined for 2 weeks, and like they've got it down. So it's their job; they know what they're doing.
Iran's currently at 9,000, so hopefully it doesn't get one more, or they'll be over 9,000.
So let's see. I do want to quickly, Brad, are you officially moving your date, or are you playing tomorrow? Yes, wait till you answer. Yeah. Let's see that desk while we're waiting for him to answer. You're moving to next week, or are you moving next week? Okay. All right, everyone here.
I will probably not be on tomorrow night, so sorry, Brad. Your audience is. I'm not going to. The 3 people that I raid you with every week are not going to be there. Sorry.
All right.
I'm guessing I'm not going to have my laptop back. I don't think Apple's going to turn around in less than a day. So.
Stupid Apple.
Fuck 'em.
All right, we need to support the shit out of Brad. Okay, so that's what I'm saying here. Thursdays, he's been a stalwart of Thursdays, and I believe moving to Fridays is the move. So then that obviously Thursdays have declined a little bit. That Code built up an audience he was handing over, and for the time being that he's on break, so that rate isn't happening, and so numbers have been declining the handoff, and as we know, that can be hard to keep up. Brad's show is special. Everyone needs to go to Brad's show tomorrow. And when he moves to Friday, the dicey thing is now he'll be on a different night. So the regulars who might know that he's on Thursday, but then have no idea that he'd be on a Friday might miss it. So especially next week after the move, and then for a few weeks, we need to make a concerted effort to make sure we're on while Brad is playing, listening, chatting, and hanging out, and push it up. That way his regulars and other people gain awareness of, hey, this is happening on Friday. Everyone got that? It's important, people. There's no one else who does a show like him, and we cannot allow that type of special show to be lost. It's just super important that we support people with that.
Yeah, drop in, spread the word. Hopefully, we can get a couple of new viewers in there. Just people who maybe haven't been exposed. Anything you can do, that way you can build up more of an audience and hopefully a routine. And if he's going to be dropping on a new night, then hopefully it'll work out a little bit better. I know that during the week it could be rough for people because they're working, they got to go to bed, whatever it is. Start pretty late on that night, so. Hopefully this will work out better.
So let's kick them off the right way, and let's. I mean, almost to the point. Even if it's not real, but if you can't be there, go tune your computer to it and go to sleep. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, just get him up that list so that more people can discover him to help him establish. And if you can be there, all the better. I usually when I do listen, play on Twitch, play on my Switch. So it's Subculture Post-Punk. So the link is actually him. Here, hold on. We'll post the link though. There we go. I want everyone to support everyone here, but just Brad's show is of all the DJs that we have, the one who does something more unique and more there's something else to it. There's just like another special level. He's a curator. It's not just he's not just playing new underground songs. He's lovingly collected a wonderful collection of vinyl. He's sharing it with people, and that's something that is special and rare in this world. And make sure that it finds a welcome home when it lands on Friday. That's in 2 weeks. Tomorrow, still up on Thursday. Other people I want everyone to follow. So Jingle, I don't know if you have yet, but if you like synthesizers, there's plenty of people around here to follow. Please make sure you give Ix Studios Cleveland a follow. Our guest tonight, Information Tray, give him a follow as well. My name is Dan Kushner. You can follow me, but I kind of suck. Sidelock sometimes streams. If you're new here, if you're just now hanging out with us for one of the first times ever, make sure you catch some of the great artists in our circle, because that's what it's all about. And what with the world going on, the great remoting, we're going to be finding that staying together is of more importance than ever. So that's what I got. Now let's check out that desk. That beautiful desk.
Beautiful desk.
Look at that desk. Well, we'll look at it in a minute.
It's a desk.
The desk.
But, it's an actual, like, solid wood desk that costs under $1,000. So,
Nice.
compared to, like, a lot of the other ones that are just, like, shitty press wood, like, barely IKEA quality stuff, and they cost, like, $3,000. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, so then I found this one. Well, I had had my eyes on this one for a long time, so I was like, I'll just pull the trigger, get it. I
Did
tried
you
to
put
modify
the link
my
up,
old computer.
by the way?
Yeah, it's up there somewhere, but here, let me see.
I want to find it.
There it is again.
Ah.
Thank you.
Oh, I was looking in our room for it.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stick my fist in the camera there.
Oh, yes. I've looked at these. Yep.
The camera lights.
I got the desk and the sidecar for it.
Excellent choice. Yeah, these have been on. I've been, kind of teetering between building one because the plans are out there. I think they even host the plans for them.
Yeah, I think you can download them from them.
Yeah, and just picking one up because they're really well done. I like the way that they use the space. It's a simple design. It looks good, and it looks sturdy as shit.
Yeah. And
What color do you
built to
end up-
order, so I got the gray,
Nice.
which I like. Yeah.
Yep.
And they build them to order, so that unfortunately that doesn't mean you have to wait like 10 to 12 weeks for it to get shipped. But that's the price you pay for quality that doesn't cost $3,000 for basically IKEA furniture.
Yeah, it's $650, but you're getting something that you can actually move more than once.
If I sit on it, it won't break.
Yeah.
Not that I do that a lot, but
Oh, that sidecar's cool. So is that angled?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the only thing, like I was talking about this with Ix, is we both kind of agreed it would be really cool if they made like a little bridge or something you could use to kind of tie them together into one big desk. They don't make that, unfortunately, but I suppose that's something somebody could fashion on their own. So
Yeah, or also a rack insert for that thing. Oh,
yeah,
wait.
That said, to supplement this, I am actually going to buy some IKEA tables for my sort of live DJ rig, just to have a nice standing height
Yep.
desk to put my controllers on and all the synths and drum machines and all that. But
IKEA is perfect for that, and the CalX kind of changed my life. Like CalX with Capita feet. It's like, oh, this is exactly the size you need for a DJ setup. Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So in comments, Moonhouse AV department, his desk is a used door. So I guess you can't say that you're doorless. Haha, I get it. All right. Like doorless.
Heyo.
Salvo is using his pool table, which is hysterical. I have what was it? It's a Stagecraft desk, I think. It's supposed to be like a music desk. It's the cheap one you get on Sweetwater, and I got it with like the turn over here, and the sidecar I ordered, even though I don't have any rack equipment, but it took like an extra month, and finally I just canceled it off because I was like, fuck it. What I found is, because I have a pinched nerve in my neck, I don't keep the monitor on the top tier. I actually pushed it forward, and that tier is just now used for bullshit. And unfortunately, that also means that I'm obscuring. There is a 19-inch rack that hangs underneath that tier. So I don't have anything there, although I don't even have any rack gear except for that compressor that's way back there. but I still really like this desk. I think getting a desk that is custom like that is super important if you're a musician, because you can. I'm all about the ergonomics, and getting to a point where you can reach everything really quickly and play allows you to think less about like reaching and being in an uncomfortable position and more about nailing it musically. I made one final modification. Sorry.
So yeah, my big thing is just having everything just ready to go at any given time. It's so important to, if you're in a creative flow, you don't want to end up having to lose 30 minutes dicking around behind the desk, plugging in this synth or that synth because it wasn't ready, or this synth is way over here on the other side of the room and I can't reach it right now, and you get taken out of that flow. So yeah.
Yeah, the more immediate you can get, the better. That way you don't get lost in creativity. So I did make one other modification. So it has a sliding keyboard tray, and because I wanted to be able to use my push in a certain way, I added a ridge using some felt. So hold on, I'll show you what it is and how that like works. Let's see if this gets on camera right. If you're even able to see it. So you see this ridge right here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So with that ridge, what I do is I take the push and boom. So now it's literally, my keyboard's underneath it and I can just play on it, and it could not possibly be more ergonomic. So,
Nice.
and it works perfectly. Highly recommend customizing your stuff.
Have you seen the movie Grandma's Boy?
I'm aiming for that, yes.
Okay.
I'm aiming for that. For someone worried about spending so much time in one room, I'm certainly customizing this one room quite a bit.
Yeah, because I that guy wasn't good at a lot, but he was good at ergonomics.
That guy had ergonomics nailed. He's a hero of the ergonomic movement.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was I had a good word for it, and it left. It's gone. Vanished. Oh, it's right there again. Come on, brain.
Come on. You sent that idea to the gulag.
It's like a front runner, but like the person who breaks through the enemy line, like I can't.
The wall
can't
breaker?
Think. No, and then my brain keeps falling back to the word bastion, but that's not correct.
Running back?
Like a phalanx almost, but like not. There's some
trailblazer.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, regardless, he's an ergonomic hero.
He's a pioneer of ergonomic usage.
Yeah.
He's an ergonomic prophet. He's the great mukmuk of ergonomics.
What is this mukmuk of which you speak?
Wasn't that from the Flintstones? Wasn't that like the guy who runs the lodge or something?
I don't remember. Unfortunately, like I did a lot of Jetsons. Like I watched some Flintstones, but Flintstones was replaced in my head by Jetsons because they were effectively the same show, just like a palette swap. So, I went with the futuristic one.
They were so totally the same show. They actually crossed over, and everyone was like, "Yeah, okay, this."
Yeah, that makes sense.
Turns out it's the same fucking show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although part of me, I think, actually preferred the Jetsons. But I never understood if I was watching something old or if I was watching something current until later in life when I realized that I was watching something way current. But that whole future retro vibe the Jetsons had stuck with me, whereas like the caveman bullshit, I feel like the Jetsons had like was more based around like a nerdy engineer, which, I spent more of my life with, whereas the Flintstones was kind of like Fred was kind of like a rotund,
it was the blue collar everyman.
Oh, or that. Yes, that's actually probably better.
I mean, yeah. It was basically what was it, the Honeymooners, right?
Yeah, it was basically the Honeymooners. He was basically like a Chicago, like, hey, I'm gonna eat some fucking hot dogs and drink some beer
down to
tonight.
Ryerson Steel to go do my job.
That's right. Can't wait to quitting time so I can go home and give it to Wilma. Am I right, Barney?
Yeah.
That was kind of how I felt about it. But the Jetsons didn't really do that. Also, I felt like the Jetsons probably demonstrated the relationship with the boss, Mr. Spacely, a little bit better. I couldn't even, I remember Fred's boss, but he wasn't like a very well...
He was more of like a shift leader or something, if I recall. Yeah.
But
like he didn't interact with the boss. You know, whereas George would interact directly with the boss, so you could tell that he was at least like, you know, in engineering or some kind of a, you know, maybe under
Skilled
the
role, yeah.
directorship. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Spacely, I think he was the owner, right? Spacely Sprockets. He's either
Spacely
the owner or
Sprockets.
like his dad was, right?
You know, actually, real quick, that may have been a little bit more forward-looking than we give it credit for. Because if you remember, Spacely Sprockets was basically automated. All George had to do was come in and push the button. Like Homer
Yeah,
style.
mhm.
Yeah, so maybe it really was just the owner and George and that was it.
So it's like a two-person company, and the one person who owns the place is just always torturing the other guy.
Yeah, he just keeps one guy around.
Relationship.
He probably gets some kind of like a tax benefit for hiring a human.
Yeah.
So he keeps one, and it really doesn't matter who it is. So like George Jetson is fine.
Are we forgetting Uniblab? I don't know what Uniblab is, so I'm not forgetting it. But what did I miss? Was there like an era while I was in school that I missed this? Uniblab? What's Uniblab? Time to Google things. The way you're saying that makes me think I really should know what Uniblab is. Uniblab from the Jetsons. Oh, he was one of the robots in
But
the
again,
Jetsons?
he was a robot. So
Okay, let's see. 10th episode, season 1 of the Jetsons, when George Jetson is expecting to get a promotion. I mean, come on, George, you're not getting the fucking
he's
promotion.
not going to get promoted to what? The other position?
And instead, Mr. Spacey hired a smart robot named Uniblab.
Oh, that was really stupid.
That is some seriously, like, forward-thinking shit. George got replaced by a robot in the 10th episode.
Well, that didn't take long.
Juliet, I don't actually remember that, but I totally Googled it, and that's why I know it. Back to work, back to work,
Back to work. Back to work.
Oh,
In fact,
so it's a manager.
All right,
Yeah.
so I will actually play that because I think that's exactly what this was. And 3, 2, 1.
Back to work, everybody. Work, 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 work.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. One day I'm going to get replaced by Uniblab, aren't I?
Yeah.
That is my future right there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all I do.
The remotening and then Uniblab.
Oh, well. I'll live.
So it's
Yeah,
interesting when I
the great
clicked on
remoting.
season 1, episode 1, I was met with this screen. You guys may have seen this before, right? This video may be inappropriate for some users. I understand and wish to proceed, so I press this, and it tells me, okay, now go ahead and buy the episode. Now, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there was ever anything inappropriate in the Jetsons. Certainly not in season 1, episode 10, although this says SOB1, episode 10. So maybe this is some kind of a dark riff on it, but why would it be on YouTube and for purchase if it were like some freaky hentai or like Rick and Morty incest porn or something?
The all bukkake episode of
Yeah.
the Jetsons.
Back to work it. Oh no.
I really don't remember the Jetsons, I guess. I don't remember that at all. Maybe I mean, if that, you know.
Do you remember the Jetsons movie?
I do remember it existing. That came out like during our life, though. I feel like the Jetsons
yeah.
happened before us.
Yeah, it was semi-modern.
Okay, hold on. The Jetsons movie. We're going deep on the Jetsons, folks, because
Here we go.
aside
Here we
from
go. You know what?
coronavirus, there's just
We're
not that
gonna-
much music news.
We're gonna watch the trailer for the Jetsons movie, 1990 release, done by Mel Blanc. Interesting.
I remember it being good too.
And it'll play any moment now.
25 years ago, they brought us a startling vision of the future. And
25 years ago, 30 years ago.
Stop this crazy thing!
they're back.
Fucking Spacely.
The Jetsons, in their first feature-length motion picture.
Look at that CGE.
Someone is sabotaging Spacely Sprockets.
We've lost 4 vice presidents.
And there's only one man for the job.
Jetson? I wouldn't use Jetson if Spacely's pockets were going bankrupt.
He is expendable.
Perfect.
I don't think I want to watch this.
Space, the final frontier.
Jetson,
I'm feeling slightly triggered by this preview.
featuring music performed by Tiffany.
Oh yeah, Tiffany.
Tiffany had something else other than the one hit she did?
The first movie
Yep.
from the family that's truly ahead of its time. Universal Pictures presents a Hanna-Barbera production. Jetsons, the movie.
Why was the dog running like that?
Because Astro does cool things.
I don't know about that. That whole preview bothered me a lot.
It really did kind of sound Last Starfighter-y, didn't it?
I didn't like the way they were treating George.
Also, The Last Starfighter, I love that movie. Just saying. It's so good. It's
feel like
where...
the
I have
Jet-
seen it many times.
Oh, yeah. Like when that weird lady man thing, the money collector looking person says like, Kusanji! I don't know what that means, but it stuck with me forever. It's great. And so, let me understand this correctly. You live in a cave, or a mobile cave that never goes anywhere.
Sanji?
Kusanji!
So, I don't think I've ever seen The Last Starfighter. Is it one that if I watched I would actually enjoy, or do you have to have seen it as a kid and create a nostalgic connection to give a shit? You know what I mean?
That may not hold up.
It may not hold up. I mean, here's the premise, right? So, a kid who lives out in the middle of nowhere has this one video game by a laundromat by his trailer park, right? And that's how he gets his rocks off, as he goes and plays this stupid game. And one night, he beats the game. And after he beats the game, by the way, he just got, like, turned down. He didn't get accepted at college, and, like, everything's shit. His life is over. But he beats this game, and so this flying car shows up out of space and says, like, come with me, kid, you beat the game. You're exactly the kind of material we're looking for. And he takes him to this planet called Rylos, where they have to defend against this Zor and the evil armada that's going to destroy the
Armada.
Yeah, they're going to destroy the planet. And so now he has been recruited to be a starfighter, which is a pilot of these kind of cool ships. And basically he needs to play the game, but for real. Like,
So the game
these
was
people
there to
don't
like
die.
try to recruit people who had
Yeah,
talent at the Starfighter?
Yeah, the
Yes.
video game was a recruiting device. Yeah.
Yep. Well, an
Early
illegal
example of
recruiting
CG
device.
in cinema too.
And the CG was okay.
not-
for the
not
time.
bad.
Yeah. And I think the ships look really good. For example, here is the Death Blossom from the movie. This is when he's fighting Zor and the evil armada.
All communication and radar systems are out, Wing Commander. Proceed with a visual attack.
Yeah, they all talk with neat robotic vocoders. I'm not sure why.
Life support good.
It looks pretty cool.
Ammo packs are peak.
Think we got
Looks like someone saw Star Wars and said, we could probably do that.
This is its own little twist.
Theoretically.
What do you mean theoretically?
After all, DB has never been tested. It might overload the systems. Blow up the ship.
What are you worried about?
Kodan Kushner Armada. I'm getting some mixed recommendations from chat here. So honestly, just being totally honest,
But you gotta see the Death Blossom. Once you see the Death Blossom, you can make your choice. I mean, look at
there's a
that.
Death Blossom.
That ship looks badass.
Within range. Just use your lasers.
That's the Death Blossom.
He's gonna use his lasers until it's time for Death Blossom. Here we go. See? Charge! Here they go. Look at that CG. Oh yeah. Those Kodan ships really look like shit, huh?
I think VHS is the only way to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Moonhouse, do you have it on VHS? Like, do you put it through your video synths when you stream?
Where's the damn Death Blossom? You gonna do it?
Oh, that other thing wasn't the Death Blossom?
No, it's gotta do the Death Blossom. Just do it! Come on! They're all around you. It's time. Press the fucking button. There we go.
Oh, cool. Wow, he really is a good last starfighter. That's some skill right there.
Hope I didn't spoil it for you.
Sorry, I won't remember. I got 2 4-year-olds. I'm not gonna watch it. I can't even watch Castlevania. I'm trying to watch those. I don't even have time to do
Castlevania's
that.
good. Has anybody seen
awesome.
that? Yeah.
I'm on the 3rd season, but it's like getting through a 30-minute episode is a grind. Like,
I only watched the first season so far, but I figured I'd let it build up a little bit in case they canceled it. And if I got 3 to watch or 2 more to watch, that's great.
2nd season's even better. 3rd season I just started. Enjoy Castlevania. It's cool. Phineas and Ferb also missed that one.
Yeah, that
Why did I
one.
miss all this stuff?
Phineas and Ferb was a
What was I
tweener for
doing?
me. It happened after my time.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, my last popular cartoons that I remember were like maybe Doug was on in high school with Patty Mayonnaise.
Like, for me, like, Power Rangers was a minute later than I cared. So I never, ever developed any kind of anything for Power Rangers, but that was my line of demarcation. If you're younger than me, you probably loved it. All right, we have one last bit of gear news. It's not a huge bit of gear news, but let's cover it. It may be of interest to some folks. There's a link to it. It's the SSL product. That's kind of neat.
Oh, they babyfied their 5-channel. Nice.
Yep. SSL2.
It's like, do you want some SSL preamps and literally nothing else? We got you covered.
Yep. It has RCA out. It does add the SSL sound off of one button. If you're looking for that analog console sound, that's actually a pretty interesting way to get it.
Okay, it does have TRS outs at least. That's good.
I like this concept. I have the Focusrite 6i6 and it works great for me, and I'm probably not even going to replace it. But if something like this was out at a similar price when I bought it, I probably would have gone that direction because I love the idea of adding coloration.
Well, so hold on. Wait a minute. These are 2 different models? Yeah. So, the 2 and the 2 Plus. So the 2 Plus seems to be the one to go for. That one's got, you get your 2 input channels. You've got your kind of an output matrix. Some of it is analog. Some of it is... or some of it is unbalanced, sorry, and then some is balanced, but then they have 2 phone output. That's interesting. So an A and a B for listening, so probably you plus whoever you're mixing for. Or, if you got a singer or something. And then thank you, SSL, for putting MIDI I/O on this thing. Fuck yeah. You guys are rule.
Although, I think that Steinberg has like a partnership with Nev going. So if I really was going to get a new interface, I might go that direction and get the Nev sound. These are colored interfaces that add a tonal quality. And so they really matter if you're not looking for clarity, but rather you're looking for something that is going to add some saturation in a sound. And I think that means if you're doing a lot of recording with microphones is really the name of the game for that.
So while we're on the topic of interfaces, I don't recall if I brought this up on a previous one, but this one is also worth noting. The new Motu M4. The M2 is also out there, but the M4 I found particularly interesting. It carries a lot of the features that were on some of the 1st gen and 2nd gen Focusrites that were really, really useful that they killed in the 3rd gen for inexplicable reasons. And they basically copied the design, but this thing has a ridiculously low noise floor and an extremely crazy dynamic range on the inputs and the outputs. I think it's something like 126 dB or something. So actually very high quality interface, super ultra low noise floor. Like among budget interfaces and even intermediate interfaces, this thing stands out a ton. You got the 2 combo jacks up front, individual 48 volt for each, direct monitoring bypass for each, and then you do have that knob in the center for input or playback mix in your headphones, which is super useful. And then you can also switch the monitoring to the rear line ins. So you have some balanced line ins on the rear plus the ones in the front. You got the dedicated headphone up front. You got the massive monitor knob a la Focusrite, and then you still have the hardware MIDI I/O on it and some unbalanced and monitor outs. So it's a great interface, and I think this thing is like $250. So it's kind of in that sweet spot of like higher end entry interface, but really decent quality. But that SSL is interesting. I would consider that. That was coming in at what, like 250 to 280?
I love the metering.
Yeah, and the metering, yeah, those are color LCDs, and they look pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've
Motu
even thought about
280.
So Motu makes great hardware. I wish their drivers were.
Yeah, yours puked out on you, right?
No, actually, I am still using an A28 Mark I is what is powering my DJ sets right now. I've got that hooked up through my old Allen and Heath mixer, and I run it for that because I just had it laying around. But physically, their hardware I think is great. I think almost every kernel panic I've had on my Mac in the last 10 years, all but maybe one of them, were traced back to a Motu driver. I've had a lot of stability problems with their drivers in the past.
Is that on Mac, Windows, or both?
Just on the Mac.
Okay.
I've never actually tried. Well, the one I've got right now is FireWire, so I guess I could get a FireWire card for a Windows box to plug it in, but it's old. It's due to be retired. So, in fact, I moved the studio. It's going to be binned. Well, I probably won't throw it away, but it will be relegated to the bottom of the closet.
So this is pretty cool. I'm gonna watch some reviews. I didn't know that 2 Plus existed. That's a little bit more down to earth. It's not like, I mean, their other one. What is that thing? The SSL 5 or something?
It's much more expensive.
It's ridiculously expensive. $1,500.
But it does a little bit more. But that's.
Oh, come on. I wish I didn't have that blocked right now.
I kind of want to get one of these just to use it as almost like an effects box.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
run my sound through it just to color it.
Yep.
Not even worried about it as an interface. I've got I/O coming out my butt.
That's where this thing gets a little bit iffy, because it's like, okay, you do get effectively, the two channel strips, and they are SSL channel strips, and that's really cool. But then it's like $1,500 for some coloration and 2 channel strips.
Yeah,
that's a little steep.
Yeah.
Would I love it if they came out with a single channel strip version of one of these with maybe 1 or 2 inputs? Hell yes. I think that this too is pretty compelling. But yeah.
Hold on, what was that?
Charge a lot of money.
The SSL Duende.
Duende, huh?
Yeah. Hold on. This was a thing. I don't know if they're even still out there though. They might have discontinued this line, but the SSL Duende was a box. You didn't even have any physical controls, but you outputted to this box, and then you controlled it using software, but it had the actual circuitry inside of it, and so then you'd output to it, and you'd get the SSL sound. You just had to control it using software. So it had a DAC in it and ADC, and
it's got that bus compressor.
Yep, but it was a real one. That's how they did it with this. It was just the part that affects the sound, not the actual hardware component. It's pretty cool. I bet these are up on Reverb relatively cheap. I mean, these are kind of older things.
Yeah.
Of course, then again, you never know if they're still supported or not.
Not seeing it come up for Reverb in the. Oh wait. Yeah, $200. Duende Mini. Oh, it's a little half U or half rack. Used eBay solid state Logic Duende Classic Firewire interface for only $260.
Dude, that Duende Mini is not a bad idea anyway. If you're just trying to get the sound and use it as an external effect processor.
Yeah, just trying to get some color.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty alright.
Firewire though, fuck.
Yeah. That's rough.
They have a used SSL 6 super analog channel, that one you showed earlier, up for $999.
Yeah, I see that. I still wouldn't buy it at $1,000. If they could make that at about 600, it would start to become interesting.
I believe I agree.
I think it's probably. I think that them asking over $600 is reasonable for the target audience, but I am not their target audience, and I would find it to be interesting at around 600.
So the Duende Minis Moonhouses, I think they had like proprietary VSTs that acted as a controller.
Yeah, and actually, worth mentioning, SSL actually does have their own. Hold on. Solid state logic. They do have their own VST versions of their stuff, and supposedly they're very, very good, which you would kind of expect, but then again, you wouldn't, because they're not, they're not plugin people. They're not software people.
They're not coders.
But apparently they got the best of the best of the best of the best to do their stuff, because it beats out, Brainworks and Waves and, every other UAD and all the other implementations that are out there. People are like, yeah, the SSL's kind of a little better. I mean, the differences are so minute, it doesn't matter. Unless you're like super psychotic about it. And also the interface is not always as pleasing. It's kind of more of a personal preference.
They're like John Hammond. They spared no expense.
Yeah. Well, how much do they want to charge for this? Let's find out. Their channel strip.
I wouldn't buy it anyway.
Oh,
if I'm going to buy a channel strip program, it's going to be console one.
Let's see, their bus compressor. I'll fire that one up. Let's see, channels. Whoa! All right, so their EQ, $300. Their channel strip, $329. Okay, their bus compressor is $329. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that's egregious.
I mean, if we're talking about like a 3%, if we're talking about a 3% difference between that and the Waves plugin, like wait until Thursday. The Waves plugin will be like 49 cents or something. Well, they do look cool.
It's different markets, though. I mean, it's like when people choke at the $4,000 Apple monitors. It's like, well, no, that's not for you.
Yeah.
Like post-production studios buy those, and it's charged back to the film production or whoever. They won't hesitate to spend $4,000 on a monitor. It's fine.
I still think it's wasteful. I know that it's pennies to those people, but I still think they're exploiting that. Those monitors, the monitor stand that's $900. I mean, and if you're a post-production studio and you have a big budget,
it doesn't matter.
You should still have like sub people who have reasonable sections of that budget that are assigned that they're supposed to work through, that can help keep the costs in line.
Well, what's crazy is that with the Apple stand, right? Let's say you've got a team of 10. It would actually be cheaper to hire a freelance CAD designer and have 10 prototype pieces of machined aluminum made than it would be to buy the fucking stands, which are mass produced.
It would be cheaper to make prototype your own
that's
stand.
one of those things. Like, okay, with the Apple screen, I get it. It is kind of the sexiest LG panel on the planet right now. You can't really get it anywhere else. Cool. All right, well, you can charge a premium because you've got the large format, ultra high density 6K panel. Damn it. Okay. Right? And you're going to pay that premium. But the stand?
The stand is ridiculous.
It's a piece of metal,
it would be
guys.
cheaper just to hire somebody to stand there and hold the monitor.
You could probably get like 1 or 2 weeks of somebody doing that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
that would also be awesome because you could do stuff like you could be like you're shaking. Stop shaking, bitch. You can yell at them. You can be like Spacely to Jetson, like, damn it, Jetson, hold the monitor. You can tell I'm getting tired. That joke didn't land.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you guys. So, a little bit of stress. This is back to coronavirus. Booked to play a party on the 10th in Milwaukee with Plumbus. Underground promoters are taking a very cavalier attitude about this, and they're all like, hell yeah, the underground's still going. But that to me seems a little bit dangerous and short-sighted, so I'm kind of worried about, like, playing this show. Should I be worried, or should I other precautions I can take? Should I cancel?
I mean, I stayed mostly behind, like, behind the stage for a majority of the evening, or I would kind of beeline it around to different areas, and when people are like, "Hey," I'd just wave at them, and try to avoid the hugs, and then just wash my hands frequently. And it seemed to work out. But yeah, it's scary for sure. Yeah,
Like,
plus a
certainly-
hazmat suit would look awesome. So hand
That
it
actually
up.
would be cool. I'm not buying a hazmat suit. Those things are like $6,000.
Yeah,
Maybe there's
try
like a
not to
costume one, but that doesn't actually stop the hazmat. Maybe we just literally dip in, never talk to anybody, never shake hands, nothing. Just bring our gear in. Here's a stereo pair. Here's power. Play. Unplug and leave.
Yeah, and if
Maybe that's
anybody
how we do
asks,
it.
just play the role of like the super prima donna.
Get your rock star on.
Yeah, I don't.
That's right.
I don't party. I was hired to do a job, and it's done. Please pay
You
me.
needed your
I'm
dance
leaving.
floor rocked. We did it, and now it's time for us to go home.
Yep.
Yeah, elbow bumps. I'm a little worried. Not gonna lie, guys. All right,
what-
it's 11:59. Is Tremon?
I'll find out in a sec. What do you have going on, information tray? Said that you will likely not be around on Friday or tomorrow. Sorry.
Thursday, tomorrow. Yeah, probably
It's your
not.
Laptop, right?
What's that? Yeah. Yeah, the laptop that actually runs Tractor and everything is working fine, but it's the laptop. It's actually my work laptop that I put OBS on and everything and use that for the streaming. So because my studio laptop, I just don't think it has the horsepower to run Tractor live and OBS all at the same time. So yeah, I will probably be off this week.
Oh, you're on control too.
Whoa.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. But hopefully back into it next week. With Brad not being on, I will probably slide a little earlier because playing till 11 it's a little late for me and it's a lot late for my wife who, the studio is right next to our bedroom. So she's trying to sleep to go to work the next day and I'm boots and cats all night. So
Wait. Boots and cats. What do you mean when you say that? Someone told me about that last week.
Boots and cats and boots and cats. Boots and cats.
Yeah.
Boots and cats and boots and
That's what they said. That's how you beatbox is you learn how to boots and cats first.
Yeah, it's the sound of every dance track ever.
it's the cat's pattern. Kicking hat
Where
and
you go,
kicking hat. Cats and-
See, I always went with the
Yeah,
oons.
see-
That's how I did it. I
Yeah,
did
see,
the
you gotta
German
you gotta
techno version.
articulate more to keep the interest up. Either that or you gotta throw a bunch of ear candy in. So, but
See,
if
I
you have
think
that
boots and
articulation,
cats is more of like a house beat, whereas
Yeah, it's
oons is more of like a techno.
It could be
Yeah, and
techno too.
if you have an iPhone and if you ask Siri to beatbox for you, she will boots and cats for you.
That's awesome.
That is funny. I'm gonna see if Alexa does that, but she
If you
probably
ask
won't.
the Google lady to make you a sandwich, she'll just say, "Poof, you're a sandwich."
Does she sass you? Yeah.
Yeah, she sasses you. Or she'll
Beatbox
say,
for me.
"Go make your own sandwich."
Oh, sorry, my sound's way down. Oh, she stopped. Never mind. I was going to do a live demo for you, but
Damn
again.
it, Siri. Yeah.
son of a bitch, Siri's useless.
God damn it, Siri.
But
I was thinking about getting
That
an Alexa in here and hooking everything up through it, the power Alexa thing, and then when I want to play on my synths, I can come in and be like, Alexa, it's time to rock, and they all turn on.
nice.
Maybe with a little guitar wail, like when everything comes
Yeah.
up, instead of like the Apple, it goes like, wow.
Yeah, when Bill and Ted do air guitar and that Steve Vai riff, that's what I would sample for that somehow. I don't know how to do that at all, though.
I love the music in that movie.
Bill and Ted? It's the
Yeah.
only Kiss song I like.
I like the opening track, and I like the track that was playing when they went to the future. Those are both really good.
Such groovy music, yes. I like the track they finished Bogus Journey up with. God Gave Rock and Roll to You.
I still have.
What?
It's one of the
So if I
weird missing
said-
holes in my cultural motif.
If I said station to you, you're just like, what the fuck's this guy talking about?
They melded into me.
They melve into me, yes. You may be a king or the petty street sweeper, but sooner or later, you dance with the Reaper.
Not sure
well,
how I feel about a third Bill and Ted movie, but we'll see.
I'm totally down with it, actually.
I'm ready to give it a shot. Yeah.
They didn't do it kind of like didn't seem like they were just like trying to pump something out. They waited until they had the right thing. And Keanu, though he got dissed lots in his original career, but his earlier career, he wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't something good and quality. He can make choices at this point, so it's not like he needs the money.
No.
He's doing Matrix too, Matrix 4, so that's cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to both those. I'll watch those movies. Hell yeah.
Yep, you got to think about the other side of that, though. He's also at the point where it doesn't matter and he can have his choice of anything. It also doesn't matter if he completely bombs.
Yeah, so he could literally just do it. Like, it sounds like it would be 2 months of hanging out with his friends.
He's like one of those people where if, an advanced alien civilization landed on Earth and said, like, let us talk to your representative, would be like, yeah, all right, Keanu will work, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Go talk to them because
Keanu?
you're us, man. You're better. Just
he is who we aspire to be. I don't know that he's us though. He's a better us.
He's the
us.
best version. Just go do that, man. And he'll be like, okay.
He'll like talk to the aliens, and the aliens will walk away and be like, I feel like that guy really cared about me and other people. And these are an alright species, and we can work with them. That's what I think would happen if we sent Keanu in. Just putting that out there. That Keanu's pretty, like, man, he feels. He's not like a normal action movie hero guy. Alright, let's see. Tremendum, yep. Or fall asleep on stream. Has happened. I just had sunglasses on, so no one noticed.
Tremendum still working out the stabilizer fluid.
Ah, man, not the stabilizer fluid.
Yep, adjusting the headlamp bearings.
Alright, well, I guess while that's wrapping up, we should do a quick roundup of what's going on this week. Tomorrow, it sounds like not a info tray, but Brad, make sure you go to those shows. I don't know if Tatchet's going to be on Friday. She said her internet was out. So normally this is the part of the show where I call out, hey, everyone, Tatchet's on this Friday. She'll be on Saturday. Her internet's out. Unless she gets her internet running again by Friday, I just don't see how she's going to get that going. So that is up in the air. But Escape Velocity will be on. Make sure you guys go hang out there.
Side note, Up in the Air, starring George Clooney, I think, is on Netflix right now. If you haven't seen it, it's very inspirational.
That's the Coen Brothers George Clooney that isn't about Shakespeare or Homer. That's the one where they fire people, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's a guy who goes around firing people. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
good movie. It was really relevant at the time because I think it came out in like 2009, right when everyone got fired.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Here's a movie about us getting fired, but it being okay and us, getting our way back there."
I watched it on a plane first time.
Did you? How meta. Yeah. It would have been even funnier if you were on a plane getting fired, though. All right, that's all we got for you, everyone. Thanks for Gear-Splaining with us. Thanks for hanging out. Anyone taking place in the great remoting, make sure you stay disciplined because it can be easy to get lost. Remember, for mental health and for everything, make sure you talk to the people you love and find a way to get out there, get out, see some sun, let the vitamin D into your life, and try to, remain positive, have a solid outlook about things. This too will pass, and in the meantime, let's make music for each other. Let's be there for each other, and let's make sure that on the other side of this, we get through it together, because that's the only way it's going to happen.
Psylocke.
So thanks to everyone.
Thank you for the cheer.
Psylocke, thank you for the bits.
We will talk to you all very soon. Information Tray, thank you very much for coming on, especially on short notice. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Info Tray.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy being on here. So.
See you all on the flippity flop.
Wang.